continue to have hope in. And so we saw yesterday in Genesis that we were created to be in fellowship with God. And because of sin entering the world and someone choosing to go their own way rather than God's way, sin enters this world. And it messes up that fellowship with God that we were created to have. And so in the punishment of the serpent, the one who caused the temptation, we see a promise of a future hope, where it talks about how a descendant of Eve's will crush the head of the serpent, signifying the conquering of sin and death, that those will no longer be holding struggles against us, but that there will be someone that will conquer sin and death that we can be a part of. So we're going to fast forward to Isaiah 9 right now, and I'm just going to read Isaiah 9, talking about the coming of Jesus. And in doing so, as we're looking at this passage, just for some background, Isaiah is written all around the being ready to be conquered of Judah because of them turning their back on God. And so we see that Judah is about to be conquered by Assyria. There's this whole leading up process of that happening. But in that, there's this hope that God is with us. He will not leave us or forsake us. And he has a rescue plan in place. And so we see that in Isaiah 9. Here's what it says. Nevertheless, there will be no more gloom for those who were in distress. In the past, he humbled the land of Zebulun and the land of Naphtali, but in the future, he will honor Galilee of the Gentiles, Galilee, by the way of the sea along the Jordan. The people walking in darkness have seen a great light. On those living in the land of the shadow of death, a light has dawned. You have enlarged the nation, increased their joy. They rejoice because you as people rejoice at the harvest, as men rejoice when dividing the plunder. For as in the day of Midian's defeat, you have shattered the yoke that burdens them, the bar across their shoulders, the rod of their oppressor. Every warrior's boot used in battle and every garment rolled in blood will be destined for burning, will be fuel for the fire. And here's where we see the big, strong promise that we're so familiar with in verse 6. For to us a child is born, to us a son is given, and the government will be on his shoulders, and he will be called Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, Prince of Peace. Of the increase of his government and peace there will be no end. He will reign on David's throne and over his kingdom, establishing and upholding it with justice and righteousness from that time on and forever. The zeal of the Lord Almighty will accomplish this. So we have a promise of one coming, not yet as a conquering king, but we have a promise of one coming as a child. For to us a child is born, to us a son is given, and the government will be on his shoulders. He will be called Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, and Prince of Peace. That's the promise of those about to be conquered by Assyria. And that's a promise that we have of one who conquered sin and death for us.